Hey guys, so I wanted to show you a way to prep up flank steak, which is one of my favorite cuts of beef, which you can use on any of these programs. It's a lean cut of meat. You just have to make sure that you trim the fat, and which, you know, usually at the stores they do a very good job of that, but just kind of, you know, go over it when you open up the packages. So I'm gonna sit you down real quick, what I've got going on. So here's your flank. All right, it's pretty trimmed down. See how the fat's removed? I've already dried it with some paper towels. The reason for that is that whatever seasoning that I put on it, I wanted to make sure that it sticks to it. All right, so let me talk about seasonings. What we got going on, I'm gonna try to do a good job of this here, is this. Hope you guys can see that all right. We got some garlic powder, onion powder, some dried thyme, black pepper, salt, cumin, coriander powder, paprika, and a little thing called achiote, which it comes from, ground achiote, which comes from the achiote seed, and of course kosher salt. Pretty much kind of like equal parts. If not, you could play with the ratios on that. The achiote, I just use a little bit on it, maybe 2 teaspoons. But you can play with the ratios any way you want. I mean, the more you use the flavorings, you get kind of an idea of what their profile is like. So anyways, I've got that all set to go. I'm just gonna put that in a bowl so I can mix it up. So in it goes. Oh, and I'm just gonna use my hands, mix it up. Now, if I wasn't really doing any of these programs, a little brown sugar would go really good in this. Kind of gives you a little bit of that barbecue-y kind of a flavor. You could put cayenne pepper if you wanted to turn up the heat a little bit also. But this kind of, you know, just a typical spice rub that I use. I make stuff up all the time. So that's just one right there off the cuff of what I had. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna season this real quick. Nice even distribution on it. You just sprinkle it on. Cool, and then you see you kind of press into it. And it's very important that it's dry, so press into it. Now you want to make sure that when you do this, that you are very much already preheating the oven, okay? Because you don't want to let this sit in the beef for too long, because what ends up happening is that salt will again extract the moisture from the meat, which is not something that we want to do, because we want to retain a lot of that moisture inside the meat. So you don't want to let this sit around for too long. Okay, that should be good. Press into it. Good. Now what I got going here is a little rack, a little baking sheet with an actual rack. I like to put aluminum foil underneath so that makes the cleanup easier, but that's all you really need. All I'm going to do that's left is just kind of add a little bit of oil to it, just a little bit, because what I'm going to do in a second is a real easy trick for you guys to get this job done quickly. All right, here I've already added the oil on there. It's just like, I think it was not even like maybe 2 teaspoons on each side. It's just enough to coat it, just to kind of make sure that the seasoning stays on. You don't have to put the oil in there, but then what I would recommend is that then you do leave the seasoning on just a little longer until the meat is a little bit, it looks wet. That way it'll help stick on all there. The one thing that you won't get is the browning from the oven searing that I'm about to do, which is kind of what I wanted to show you. Normally we would take this to the grill, or we take it onto a pan to kind of give it a nice crisp caramelization on the outside. I don't have time. Most people don't have time. This is a trick of the trade. So I've got my oven over here preheated already at 400. You could take it higher actually. You know what? I'm actually going to go up to 435. You know, because you can kind of treat it almost like a real hot searing device. So that heat is going to actually make that outside of the meat kind of brown up. All right, if you will. Another trick to it that you could use is a broiling method. You could just broil it. and just make sure that you don't burn that one side and that you do flip it over, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in the oven. Now, actually, I'm gonna stick it on the top. Because I do have a convection oven, the flow of the heat is going from top to bottom, and for some reason, I don't know if all convection ovens are like this, but I know mine particularly, I figured out that the flow of it seems to carry a lot of heat on the top as it flows around. So by putting the pan up higher, I'm gonna get even more heat at the top, which is gonna give me that nice caramelization that I'm looking for. Anyways, that's probably gonna take probably about, well, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 minutes or so. I check it to my likeness, which is usually about medium or so. That's about it, guys. You just take it out, let it rest for at least 5 minutes, and then you can go ahead and slice it. And when you slice it, I recommend that you slice on the bias. So what you mean by the bias is that your knife is actually going to come on an angle as you're slicing through the actual flank steak. All right, that's about it, really, guys. And then you can have that all week long. Just store it in a nice container, and you know, take it out, measure it in your red container, and there you have it. All right, guys. See ya.